Sup nerds and welcome back. This is a very special episode. This is a deep dive into one of my favourite celebrities. One that my family and top nerd Ashley has been ripping me about since we did our second ever episode of the podcast, believe it or not, which I believe was our dive into the DCU. I'm still kind of keeping it vague, even though the thumbnail and title probably gave this away by now. But I don't want to dive right into it just yet. I thought I'd give us a little bit of ambiguity before we dive into the meat and potatoes of this episode and my absolute love and admiration for this absolute marvel of an individual. My sister might have a point, to be fair, with the words I'm using, but I will roll the original clip and let you guys decide if I talked about him too much in just a second. But before that, let's get into the episode. Okay, so as I was saying, Top Nerd Ashley, my sister, and her loving husband like to rip me about my fascination and love for Nathan Fillion all the time. It all stems back to our second ever podcast episode, our dive into the DCU. Help, we're talking the DCU and more. I believe that's what it was called. Let me just double check that to make sure that I'm giving you the right thing. I will link it here so you can find it. Yep, Help, we're talking the DCU and more. That is exactly what it was called. And as I said, it will be linked above for you guys to go find it. But I will roll the clip now of what I actually said in that episode about Nathan Fillion, so you guys can judge for yourself whether I overly talked and built up the legend that is Mr. Fillion, or whether I just brought it up because it was the topic we were talking about. So, editor Ethan, roll clip.
Nathan Fillion doesn't strike me as Guy Gardner, really.
Thanks, future me. That was all I needed you to do. So let me know in the comments if you agree with my sister and brother-in-law, whether I over-glazed Nathan Fillion in our second ever episode, or whether or not it was warranted for what we were actually talking about. I would love to hear your thoughts on the matter, because this is what kickstarted absolutely everything when it comes to Mr. Fillion and my affiliation, and the main reason we're doing this video right now. Now, I'm not saying I'm not a big Nathan Fillion fan. I am. I wouldn't be doing this video if I didn't agree with their assessment. However, I wouldn't have gone as far as they did if it weren't for editor Ethan here to set the record straight. Apparently, according to my partner, I may have misremembered some of the details. It wasn't that I was getting ripped solely based on the episode. It was that when they asked me who Nathan Fillion was, I was appalled by the fact that they didn't know who he was, and immediately went into a full spiel about who Nathan Fillion was, and that's why I get teased for being a Nathan Fillion fanboy by my family. So Nathan Fillion, before he was the man we know today, as before he captained the Serenity as Malcolm Reynolds on Firefly, before he was Richard Castle on Castle, before he was John Nolan on The Rookie, before he took up the ring as Guy Gardner in Superman or in Peacemaker, or before he was even the voice of Hal Jordan in the Emerald Knight animated film, along with many other DC projects, along with countless other voices that he's done, as well as other characters that he did for Marvel, as roles that he was up for but didn't get, and roles that he's been in that you might not know he did, like characters that he did from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and stuff like that. He was just Nathan Christopher Fillion, born in the Millwood area of Edmonton, Alberta, to a English teacher father and mother, and who he was their youngest son. You could say that his creative nature was in the blood from birth due to their professions as English teachers and their passion for creativity and all that sort of stuff. Nathan had a knack for performing from a young age, going on to major in arts and minor in drama at university, then went on to join the Rapid Fire Theatre and perform in the Dynasty soap opera in improv, which is a live action soap opera all done through improv. How batshit is that? That like his first real acting thing before like any TV stuff was a live action improv soap opera. So it's not just improv, like an improv thing where improv theatre where people come and they just give you scenarios, but it's a full-on soap opera. Like, so for me, I'm British, so what comes to mind when I think soap opera is Emmerdale, Coronation Street, EastEnders. So taking those concepts and then combining it with improv and having to do that as a live on stage, I think that's batshit. I can't grasp it, and it like muddled my brain for a second. Like, that is a wild first experience and can probably formulate why he's like one of the top actors in my mind out there, because he's like just able to instantly react in any way that you need him to, and no wonder he can. His first proper chops at acting was all reactionary. Obviously that isn't where he stopped acting, that is like just the bare bones on where he like got his start and everything like that. But his first big television break, his big movie ordeal, was The Ordeal in the Arctic, which was filmed in Edmonton, and from that he later transitioned into soap operas properly. There was a specific soap opera that I was able to find. I will place the name here because I can't for the life of me remember it off the top of my head. So if you're watching on YouTube, the name will be on screen now. If you're not watching on YouTube, it will be linked in the description down below so you can find that soap opera if you're so inclined to do so. I haven't actually seen it, but like, it's Nathan Fillion, so if you are inclined to go back and watch an old soap opera that has Nathan Fillion in it and go find the episodes that starred Nathan Fillion, then be my guest. Like, I can't fault you for doing so. But that is where he like transitioned from doing improv theatre to TV, and we know what happened from that. Like, from moving on from that, he had a couple of like stints doing things, and then he got his biggest break, and I would argue like his most notable break, in the hit show, even though it only got one season. And let's just take a break from glazing Nathan Fillion for a second to just complain about the fact that Firefly only got one season. Why the hell did Firefly only get one season? I will never know. Like, it was so good. Space cowboys. Space western, basically. That's what it is. It's a western in space. Fringes of space. I don't understand. Like, it takes the awesomeness of a western the awesomeness of sci-fi and smushes them together, and you get Firefly. And for some reason, for God-forsaken reason, it gets the axe after one season. There are so many shows that are so fantastic, like Firefly, that get the axe after one season. Not to name too many names, but Secret Circle being the other one that grinds my gears. Doesn't star Nathan Fillion, so I won't talk about that one. But like, just you know what I'm saying. Just really annoying. But anyway, back to what I was talking about. So he gets his breakout role as Captain Malcolm Reynolds, or Mal for short, in the space western created by Joss Whedon. If you want us to do a full breakdown on Firefly on this channel, I would be more than willing to do that. That would be absolutely amazing. Or if you want us to do a reaction series to the full series of Firefly and the Serenity reboot movie, I would be willing to do that as well over here on the channel. But I won't bore you with too much on Firefly, as this is a video on Nathan Fillion, not Firefly. So that's why I'm saying, if you want those videos, do let me know in the comment section down below, and we can get you those videos out and ready for you. We can also do the breakdown of Firefly as a podcast episode, as well as a YouTube video, kind of like how we're doing this Love Letter to Nathan Fillion episode. So yeah, let me know if that is something you would be down for, because it's something I'm definitely down for. But I don't want to do it if it's not something you guys are interested in. So do let me know down below. But Firefly, despite only having one season, has a massive cultural shock impact. It gets dropped like a grenade and explodes outwards everywhere. Everyone that watched it loved it, and it still ripples to this day. There are so many things you could see from Firefly's influence, down from Firefly itself to Halo. Yes, I'm talking about the fact that Sergeant Reynolds is named directly in honor of our Captain Malcolm Reynolds, and I'm talking about how gunnery Sergeant Edward Malcolm Buck in Halo 3. I don't want to butcher it, but I'll put the full proper title. And Halo Reach and Halo 5 Guardians is also a direct reference to our captain, and both are voiced by Nathan himself. Not to mention the fact that we have so many people petitioning for Firefly to come back. We even have calls to Firefly in the Netflix show Big Mouth. We have like parodies of it. We have Sheldon Cooper on The Big Bang Theory complaining about the cancellation of Firefly. So it's not that Firefly is just this bubble. When it ended, its ripple wave echoed outwards. It became such a focal point in the nerd space, and that we can all rally around the fact that of this. And I think one of the linchpins in this is that Nathan himself is one of those people that really doesn't like the fact that Firefly ended and would bring it back in a heartbeat. He did say at one point that if he had, I think it was 3 million, he would buy the rights to Firefly and just resurrect it. I know that there was a Kickstarter to give him the money to buy Firefly and do that, which crumbled. because it didn't have his direct backing. So obviously that didn't actually pan out, but there was a comment from Nathan himself saying as such, and I will get that and post that before you guys to see for yourself. So, in addition to his live action television films, he's had many voice acting career moves. As I mentioned, he was the voice of those two people from Halo, and he's voiced Hal Jordan in The Emerald Knight, which I think is kind of funny that he voiced Hal Jordan in the animated movie The Emerald Knight and other subsequent DC projects, but then went on to play Guy Gardner in James Gunn's Superman and Peacemaker, respectively. I think the fact that he went on to play what essentially was originally supposed to be Hal Jordan's understudy, which was eventually replaced by Jon Stewart, because that's why Guy Gardner was originally created. He was originally created to be Hal Jordan's understudy, and then that was like retconned out, and then he was reintroduced after some shenanigans and brain damage and all that stuff, with a completely different personality, and he's then reintroduced as him. I think that's really awesome. I just love the fact that he went and he played Hal Jordan, and then he's come back in live action and played what essentially was the understudy. It's like full circle moment. I think it's really cool that they've done that, like comic book full circle. That isn't actually like the only time he's been in superhero media. He's done a lot of background characters in Gunn's Guardians movies. I was trying to think of the title. Why was I thinking it was called the Rocket movies? Maybe because Rocket Raccoon is my favorite character from the films. But Guardians of the Galaxy is what it's actually called. A lot of background characters in Guardians of the Galaxy, but he was the Holy Avenger in the film Super, which was directed by none other than, drumroll please, James Gunn. Yes. So, there seems to be a long-standing relationship between Gunn and Fillion, which we can talk about. Gunn, we can do an episode on how Gunn likes to use the same people over and over again, and whether that's a good thing. If you guys want us to do that, let me know, as always, in the comment section down below. Moving on from that, we have all his other acting credits, obviously. That he was also the voice of Steve Trevor in the Wonder Woman animated movie, which means he's got a connection like that with DC and not just Marvel, which I find rather fascinating. And he's done a lot of work in multiple different things. Obviously, I mentioned it earlier, he was Richard Castle in the long-running show Castle, which got axed due to rumoured, I think it might be confirmed, but I'm going to say rumoured just to be on the safe side, tension between himself and the actress that played his leading co-star, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head. I will again put it in the description if you are listening to the podcast episode. I'll put it on screen now if you are watching on YouTube. But I believe her name is Beckett in the show, and he's playing John Nolan in The Rookie from 2018 to present, which is one of my favourite shows currently. And yeah, he definitely is a cop cutie. Obviously, there are a bunch of others. He had a stint on Buffy the Vampire Slayer as Caleb in the final season. I think I pronounced that right. It's been a while since I watched Buffy. Then he was in Desperate Housewives. He was in American Housewife. I already mentioned he was in Big Mouth. He was in Modern Family. There's loads. I could point them all out, but we'd be here all day. There's loads of areas where you can find Nathan Fillion. I mean, if you look it up, his IMDb page, which I will link in the description down below, is extensive. And like I said, we would be here all day if I tried to list every single thing you could find him in. So I'm not gonna do that. Outside of acting, Fillion has a lot of charity work. He joined Charity Water in 2012 and raised $42,526 in 2019, which is the last campaign I can find on the website. Let me know if you can find any more recent ones, but that is the last one I can find. And back in 2008, he co-founded Children Need to Read with PJ Herma and Denise Gary, which I probably pronounced the surname wrong there, and I am sorry for that. But in 2012, he won the Edwin P. Humble Medal of Initiative alongside those two. So that's good. Although, according to their history page, he's no longer active with the organization. I don't know what happened there. I just know that, according to them, he no longer serves the non-for-profit company. So, I just thought I'd keep you guys looped in on what I was able to find on that. That is what I was able to find on the charity works that Nathan Fillion has done that I was aware of, but I didn't realize that there was no more up to date on the Charity Water one since 2019, and that he didn't seem to be affiliated with Kids Need to Read anymore. Kids Need to Read provides books and literacy programs to schools, libraries, youth organizations, and all sorts like that across America. So I just thought that was something I would bring to your guys' attention. Doesn't really affect anything on this side of the pond, but it is something that I would bring your attention to, that he did help co-found that. Obviously, as you've probably gathered from this, Nathan Fillion is one of my favourite actors, and I've done an extensive deep dive on everything I could find on Nathan Fillion for this particular video. This is my love letter to Nathan Fillion, to give you guys a full deep dive on Nathan Fillion, everything that I've been able to find that he's done. There is tons and tons of acting credits. There's charity works. There is his history in the past. Everything that he's done. He's a very private person, so you won't find a lot about his personal life out there for you to find. Which is one of the things that I ran into when I was doing the research here. There isn't a lot to find personally. So all I can tell you is that as of an article in January 2026, which is at time of recording, it is 2026, Nathan Fillion has not been romantically linked to anybody and has no children. That might change in the future, so if you are watching this video in the future and some of this information is outdated, do let me know, and we might do an updated version of this video in the future. But at the time of recording, all this video and podcast episode is up to date with everything I've been able to find. Let me know if there's anything I did miss in this video that you think should have been added to the video to celebrate the awesomeness that is Nathan Fillion. And with that, I'm going to call this to an end. Wish you all a happy Valentine's Day. And with that, As always, everybody, stay happy, stay healthy, and most of all, and say it with me, stay nerdy.